I think about a lot is community financial brands are the backbone of the local economy, and
Hmm.
it's an opportunity to help communities not just survive but really thrive. And I do see such a strong connection between community institutions and entrepreneurs, and ways to integrate that. Now, I think what's the interesting point here is that's the mission, that's your purpose.
Yes, sir.
However, you recently wrote an article that caught my eye, and it's titled "Why I Don't Have Money with My Credit Union." What's the story behind the story here, for some context?
Yeah, so my last business, MK Decision, was a digital account opening provider that Alchemy Technologies acquired in September 2021, really trying to extend the consumer experience out to the acquisition portion of the funnel, whereas traditionally Alchemy had sat in the digital banking space. So it was in that moment with Alchemy where our North Star was really to get a new consumer from account opening into digital banking as fast as possible. That was our mission. That was the purpose of the product, and we're doing a lot of work to optimize for that straight through process into digital banking for automatic approvals and whatnot. But where I kind of left off at that point, James Robert, was I said my job's done. I've opened the account. It's on the core. They now can log in and use the mobile app. And I didn't take that consumer or business journey any further and ask myself, how often are these new accounts actively being used? And so as I started doing research, the great Jim Roos wrote an article saying almost 50% of new accounts opened go inactive within the first year. And so me and my co-founder Simran, who was the co-founder of Zogo, the kind of like Duolingo for financial education, we said we need to start opening up some accounts with your average bank or your average credit union. And we were very surprised, James Robert, at how little communication we received upon opening those accounts. One of my old friends in a past venture would say that if you aren't staying very close to the new lead, they get abducted by aliens. They just disappear off the face of the earth. And our experience was we had very little follow-up and engagement from the banks and the credit unions we were opening accounts with. And ultimately, it led us to think that this is probably a challenge that more financial institutions than just the ones we were applying for are having, which is they're getting new members and customers to open an account, but then are they actually getting them to fund that account, to bring their direct deposit over to that account, to pay their bills out of that account, to use all digital services within that account, e-statements, SMS, et cetera, push notifications. And so we were surprised, James Robert, at how few financial institutions look at the onboarding engagement portion of the journey and take it very seriously. It's almost like, oh, I got the account opened, my job's done, move on with my life, assuming that the consumer or small business is going to self-serve thereafter, that they don't need to be educated, that they don't need to be engaged with. And so we saw that as a huge divide between account opening and digital banking, James Robert, and that's really the thesis for SwayStack.
It's interesting that you mentioned the Jim Maroos perspective, or what is it, 45%, 46% of checking accounts go inactive within the first year. I want to roll back on that. Why do you think that is? What's the problem behind the problem here? And before you answer, I want to set a little bit more context. I actually had a conversation with a gentleman. His name is Joey Coleman. He's the author of a book called Never Lose a Customer Again. And he opens up his book specifically writing to the banking vertical. And one of the things that he notes is that 20% of customers leave a bank do so in the first year without ever conducting a single transaction. So 1 out of 5
Wow.
do so without ever conducting a single transaction. I'm going to quote, not one ATM withdrawal, not one check clearing, not one payment of online bill pay. And then he continues, a shocking 50%. So now we're talking 1 out of 2. And I like talking 1 out of 2 versus percentages because I think it's a little bit more real. We're talking about people here, not not numbers, we're talking people.
Yeah.
1 out of every 2 people leave within the first year quit doing business within the first 100 days.